On the morning of June 30th, 1908, in one of the most remote regions on Earth, the sky over central Siberia suddenly turned into fire. The land was empty for hundreds of kilometers, covered in endless forest and marshland near the Podkamennaya Tunguska River, a place where few roads existed and only scattered hunters and reindeer herders lived. It was quiet country, the kind of quiet where even small sounds carry for miles. Then, just after sunrise, witnesses saw something impossible. A blazing object crossed the sky brighter than the sun, moving fast and low, leaving behind a glowing trail. Some people instinctively covered their eyes because the light hurt to look at. Seconds later came a shockwave so powerful it knocked people off their feet dozens of kilometers away. Windows shattered in distant villages, the ground trembled like an earthquake. A roar followed, not like thunder, but like continuous artillery fire rolling across the horizon. Those closest to it later said they felt heat on their skin as if their clothes might ignite even though they were miles from the center. The sky darkened afterward, and for nights across Europe and Asia people could read newspapers outdoors at midnight because the atmosphere glowed with strange luminous clouds. Yet no one knew what had happened because the location was so isolated that no immediate investigation took place. When expeditions finally reached the area years later, what they found defied expectations. Over 2,000 square kilometers of forest lay flattened in a perfect radial pattern, around 80 million trees knocked down as if pushed outward by a giant invisible hand. But at the center there was no crater, no impact hole, no large fragments of rock. The ground was scorched and branches were burned, yet the soil itself remained mostly intact. This was not like any meteorite strike scientists had ever documented. The first major scientific investigation was led by Leonid Kulik in the 1920s. He expected to find a massive iron meteor buried beneath the swampy ground. Instead, he found only devastation, trees stripped of branches, some standing upright but charred like telegraph poles, others laid flat pointing away from a central point. The pattern suggested an explosion in the air rather than a collision with the Earth. From that idea came the leading explanation: a cosmic object entered the atmosphere and detonated before hitting the ground. But what kind of object? Some scientists proposed an asteroid made of stone that shattered under pressure and heat, releasing enormous energy equivalent to many nuclear bombs. Others argued it must have been a comet, a loose mixture of ice and dust that vaporized completely, leaving no solid debris. Calculations show the explosion likely occurred several kilometers above the ground, creating a blast wave that flattened the forest without digging a crater. Yet the mystery did not end there. The power released was enormous, estimated between 10 and 15 megatons, far greater than the atomic bomb dropped on Hiroshima decades later. Seismic instruments across Eurasia recorded the shock. Atmospheric disturbances circled the planet. Still, no confirmed fragments large enough to prove its composition were ever recovered. Over time, stranger theories appeared. Some imagined natural gas eruptions igniting in the atmosphere. Others suggested antimatter collisions, microscopic black holes, or experimental weapons tests, though none had evidence to compete with the cosmic impact explanation. Even today, debate continues not about whether something from space caused it, but exactly what that something was. The Tunguska explosion became the largest impact event in recorded human history, yet because it occurred over wilderness, it killed very few people. Had it happened over a city, millions could have died instantly. The flattened forest slowly regrew over the decades, and travelers today can walk among younger trees that replaced the fallen giants. But the pattern remains visible from the air, a scar frozen into geography. It serves as a reminder that Earth exists in a cosmic shooting gallery where objects large enough to destroy cities pass nearby more often than we notice. The event left humanity with a paradox: overwhelming destruction without a crater, proof of immense energy without a visible projectile. Over a century later, scientists still study the site because it teaches how vulnerable civilization is to forces beyond human control. On that quiet Siberian morning, nature revealed for a brief moment that the sky is not empty space, but a place where catastrophe can arrive without warning, explode in silence, and vanish, leaving only broken trees and unanswered questions behind.